Ross here, Money Matters Live. Today, 5 secrets of the happiest retirees. You're going to want to stick around for this. We're going to do 5. Some are financial, some are lifestyle. And we'll actually maybe even throw in a bonus one at the end. So maybe we'll actually do 6. So 5 money secrets of the happiest retirees. Let's get started. A Princeton study, relatively continues to get updated, shows that folks get happier and happier and happier. People get happier as they make more money, up to about $75,000 a year. That's to some extent the magic number. You may have heard some sort of study like this. And this is, when I first heard this many years ago, I thought to myself, I've always wondered about the relationship between money and happiness. How much does it take to be happy? And what do happy retirees do versus unhappy retirees? And I decided to do my own study. So I surveyed over 1,350 people, 46 different states, to try to ask them 36 financial and life habit questions, asked them a series of happiness questions, and was able to take the happy group versus the unhappy group and compare the two habits. Basically, happy retirees, their financial consumer habits, versus unhappy folks. You don't want to be the unhappy group, you want to be in the happy group. And that's what we're going to talk today. I want to give you my 5 favorites of this list. I have 18 of them. And you can retire sooner than you think. But let me go through 5 that I think are a lot of fun, and it's a good mix of the 18. So let me get right into this. Let's start with first. I'm going to literally go right out of this book here. I'm going to highlight some of these for you. The first one has to do with a mortgage. It's number 7. Happy retirees are fastly approaching not having a mortgage right here. And what I think is very important here, and it's one of my favorite charts in the book, it shows that as years to pay off mortgage goes down, happiness levels go up. So if you have a higher propensity to be happy and maybe feel more secure when you have 5 years left on your mortgage versus 15 years left on your mortgage. So as the years to pay off mortgage comes down, happiness goes up because the light at the end of the tunnel, no longer having to write a check to your bank for your mortgage. There's a lot of power in that in retirement. So you want to get this nugget done, or this habit done, before or as soon as you retire, either before retirement or as soon as you get to retirement, or as fast as humanly possible. Another statistic I found in the book, that the happy retirees are 4 times more likely to have their mortgage paid off in the next 5 years than unhappy retirees. So super important. Really the key behind this is making extra payments. $200, $300 a month on a $300,000 mortgage can shave off nearly a decade of payments. So just remember that next time you write a mortgage check. Number 2 here, which I think is a lot of fun, has to do with why and what you're going to spend your money on. Why you save it to begin with. And we call this core pursuits. Happy retirees have at least 3.5 core pursuits as part of the book. To be exact, 3.6 core pursuits. I actually call this core pursuiting. I don't know if that's a word yet in the dictionary, but hopefully it will be in a few years. But core pursuiting means that you have really spent some time, and it takes a lot of effort and a lot of energy, particularly if you're working and you're busy and you're earning money, to spend the time on yourself to figure out. Core pursuit is really a hobby on steroids, meaning that you don't just do it once in a while. It's something you almost live for, and you want many of these, 3 to 4 of these, to be a happy retiree. Happy retirees have 3.6. Unhappy retirees have less than, or let's call it 2 or less. So huge difference between the number of core pursuits you have. I don't know how much they even matter, but happy retirees do biking, hiking, golfing, trekking, traveling, spending time with their grandkids, maybe even part-time work, or all hobby income, whether they're making woodworking or floral designs or necklaces or jewelry, whatever it is. If it's important to you and keeps you, we're shaking the table here, my favorite core pursuit, email us or give us a comment on your favorite core pursuits. I'd love to know this, because it's been the research here. We talk about all the different things that happy retirees do. Volunteering is a major core pursuit for the happy group. And I list out in the book some of the unhappy groups' core pursuits. Now, some of them are a little bit less social. Not saying that's bad or good, but this is the research that I've done in the book, and that is fascinating. But the key here, less about what you're doing and more about having many of these different core pursuits, hobbies on steroids, to get you out of bed when you're in retirement. Super important. Let's go to something totally separate and totally different here, and that has to do with the number of children. What? Does this have anything to do with being a happy retiree? I don't know. My research says it does. This is number 9 on the list. This is interesting. From my research, it shows that as number of children increase, so do happiness levels, but only to a point. Kind of interesting, where it looks as though the ideal number of children is 2.5 children. I don't know how we get there, but I see happiness levels rise to about 2.5. I've gone way over that mark. I've got 4 kids, so my wife and I joke about how it's diminishing marginal extra happiness as you keep having children. I don't know if that really means much, but the key here is that there are higher happiness levels reported from the happy group that has more kids than the unhappy group. By the way, I spent a lot of time verifying the statistical significance in basically the math in all of these data points. And I went down to the math department at Georgia Tech, and they helped me look at the statistical significance. So what I talk about in the book, these are statistically significant relationships between what we're talking about, happy versus unhappy retirees. All right, next. Let's get to, again, this one is a financial one, and I'd be remiss if I didn't get to something on the financial end here. This is early in the 18. This is 3. This one has to do with happy retirees have $500,000 in income at a minimum. So we understand that there is, just like with income, there is more happiness as we have more income up to a point. It's the same thing when it comes to saving money or liquid net worth. We get this relationship, I actually call it the plateau effect between money and happiness. I'm going to draw out this relationship just in a second here, because this is critical to happiness in retirement. Let's say we have a chart here, and this is more money over here, and this is your happiness level, right? So this is super happy over here, and this is unhappy over here. How does this chart look? Well, let me draw this out. As money levels rise, as we go this way, we get more and more happy, we get closer to happiness, and then at a point it begins to plateau. So we end up getting what I call the plateau effect when it comes to money and happiness. And this is what I'll show you right here. We get this relationship where it begins to plateau. So we get to a point where more money doesn't necessarily mean more happiness, only the beginning stages. And if you think about this makes sense. If you're making $20,000 a year and you go to 50, you've more than doubled your income. You might have a heightened sense of, hey, now I can afford to live in the big city. Does it matter much if you go from $1 million a year to $2 million a year? Probably not. Doesn't really have an impact on your lifestyle. So it's a important relationship. What's interesting is that the median level, kind of that inflection point I talked about, is getting to $500,000 for the happy retiree group. The average for the top 2 happiness groups is more than that, but that's the initial inflection point we want to get to. All right, lastly, number 5. Well, that was number 5. Or no, number 5 is income sources. Next in the book. This is also really interesting, and that I learned from the data, and this is number 10 in the book. Happy retirees tend not just to necessarily have more income, and it's not a significant amount of more income, but they have significantly more income sources that feed retirement. So this is number 10 here. These are income sources. They have at least 2, and actually more like 3, and if you count the investment income, that's another big part of this. Happy retirees have more ways they get their income. Would you rather one big stream of income coming in every month, or 5 little sources of income that all add up to that same stream of income? Well, the answer is you'd rather have more sources, because there is a sense, there's more peace of mind around, hey, if one of these sources gets cut off, I still have 4 left. Versus one big source of income, hey, what happens if that one particular source of income goes away? It's somewhat unnerving if you've only got one, kind of putting all your chips in on one area. So happy retirees tend to have 3 or even more different income sources in retirement. Important to think about as you're doing your retirement plan. Do I maybe have a house that pays me mortgage or that I get rent from? Do I have 2 different or 3 different investment portfolios? Do I maybe do part-time work? Do I have a pension? Do I have Social Security? Do my wife or my husband have Social Security? So all these different areas can give you different income sources and give you peace of mind. All right, so that's 5, some of my 5 favorite. I said in the beginning here I'd do one bonus one, and this one is maybe just a little bit more fun, but also there's finance behind this. And again, if you've got income source, or you have, we asked earlier in the video, what are some of your favorite core pursuits? On Twitter, I've seen folks do hashtag 3.6 core pursuits because it's kind of an interesting number to get to, and I want you to remember. So feel free to continue to list that underneath this video. But the next one I'll talk about is actually number 15 on the list. And it has to do with the kind of car happy retirees drive or don't drive, right? This is pretty fascinating to me. If you look at the, I'm going to ask you to guess for just a second, I'm going to give the answer. What's the number 1 luxury car of the unhappy retiree? Well, first hint that it's German car auto, and I have nothing against German cars at all. But the answer here for unhappy retirees is, yes, you guessed it, the BMW. The BMW was the most popular luxury brand for the unhappy retiree. What was the favorite for the happy group? Well, happens to be Lexus. So there's a difference between whether you go European car makers or Asian car brands. For some reason, happy retirees tend to go with these Asian car brands. Lexus happens to be the top of the list. Also, Toyota, Nissan, Honda show up high on the list for the happy retirees. US not totally out of it, as Buick is also a happy retiree car. So there's an awful lot to think about. I can't go through all 18 of these in one video alone. But right, so this is, if you want to find the book, this is easy to do. So go to retiresoonerbook.com. Again, the website to find all of these 18 traits and 5 money secrets of the happiest retirees. Easy to find it. Again, just go to retiresoonerbook.com. Thank you so much for watching this Money Matters Live. And again, Wes Moss here. Find me at wesmoss.com. Thank you so much for listening. Have a profitable rest of your day.